Welcome to the Ask Dr. Deanna show. I'm Dr. Deanna Holgren, your host. Join me weekly as I cover various health-related lifestyle medicine topics that you get to request. This show is for anyone who wants to proactively improve their health position. I hope you enjoy the show. Hey, everybody. Thanks for plugging in today. Today's topic is a continuation of last week, and we're talking about obesogens. We're talking about endocrine disrupting chemicals. We're talking about weight gain. And this is a hot topic. It is something that is pretty much always on somebody's mind. And I think that right now it's probably on a large number of Americans' minds, just because the obesity epidemic, current statistic is that 42% of adult Americans are obese. The statistic for children is 20%. 20% of U.S. children are obese. So we have a problem. And so we are tackling that problem. We've been talking about insulin resistance. We've been talking about endocrine disruptors. Those are chemicals that can contribute to weight gain. We are talking about a group of chemicals called obesogens that basically also can contribute to weight gain. There was a study by the NIH, the National Institute of Health, in 2021, and they were specifically looking at these endocrine disrupting chemicals and obesity, these chemicals that we call obesogens. And what they found was that there absolutely was a correlation between consumption of these products, usage of these products, and weight gain in a person's life. And again, this is a hot topic because when you look at obesity, it is the driver of so many diseases. It's the driver of coronary artery disease. It is the driver of diabetes. It is the driver of insulin resistance. It's the driver of metabolic syndrome, hypertension, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. We see a ton of that right now. It is highly linked to stroke. It's linked to dementia. It's linked to osteoarthritis. It is linked to obstructive sleep apnea. It's linked to kidney disease. It is linked to reproductive disorders, and it is even linked to cancers. So pretty much, I did not say autoimmune, but I'm certain that it is also linked to autoimmune through another mechanism, which is a topic for another day. But think about that list. Every single one of us knows somebody that we would put, and maybe it's you, maybe you yourself would be on that list with one of those conditions. And so, to me, the number one thing that we can do to positively impact our health is to basically drop any excess weight that we have. So if you are overweight, if you're struggling with your weight, then getting on that bandwagon and doing something about it. It takes a decision. I know that it's challenging. That's why we are here to help with a lot of information on intermittent fasting, a lot of information on what to eat, what not to eat, how to be healthy, how to, avoid the pitfalls of the holidays in terms of, gaining, the average American gains about 10 to 15 pounds over the holidays, starting from Thanksgiving and running through New Year's, all of those sorts of things. So these obesogens that I was mentioning earlier, those are things like BPA, which is bisphenol A, phthalates, perfluorooctanoic acid, parabens. You hear a lot about parabens, right? Biphenol, a bunch of pesticides that are in our environment, and then plastics, things that are in containers, in toys, in cookware, and in personal care. That's the reason that last week I spent some time talking about the importance of personal care products, because that is a huge area of concern. It's a huge area where you will see a lot of these endocrine disruptors, a lot of these chemicals that are considered the obesogens. Sometimes when you look at food additives, there's that whole slogan, you can't just eat one. And there's a reason behind that. It's because there's an ingredient that's been added that makes that one potato chip somewhat addictive so that you can't just eat one. They've added extra things in there. And sometimes things aren't always on the labels either. Or sometimes, you can learn something. For example, MSG would be in this category of obesogen. And of course, we all know MSG and to avoid MSG and whatever. But sometimes they will change the name. And so, as consumers, then we have to, memorize multiple names for the same ingredient or whatever, which can be very frustrating, can be absolutely daunting, in my opinion. And that's the reason that for the most part, what my recommendation is to patients is to eat a whole food, nutrient dense, clean diet. And when you're eating a whole food, nutrient dense, clean diet, you pretty much are able to avoid those chemicals. Okay, so let's talk about that for a minute. Whole foods. Okay, so you know exactly what the ingredient is in there. Preferably it is a non-GMO, organically grown, vegetable or fruit or whatever. So you've got that. So whole food, nutrient dense. Okay, food is either fuel. It's either going to take you up or it's going to take you down in terms of energy. Okay, there are hardly any foods that are just energy neutral. They either give you energy or they zap your energy. And the things I'm talking about, things that are high in carbohydrates, high in sugar, whatever, are going to just put you in that carbohydrate coma after you eat those things. If you are eating a healthy, clean diet, you are not going to feel exhausted and like you need a nap after lunch. It's the high carbohydrate, the high sugar, and the chemicals that will make you feel that way. So nutrient dense, whole food, nutrient dense, and clean. What do I mean by clean? Well, how is it produced? Is it organic? Was it sprayed with a whole bunch of chemicals? Because remember, it's not just the thing that we're eating and the ingredients there, but it's also this how it was produced and the spray, the things that are on it that were, put on it. Sometimes they, coat apples with certain chemicals so that they have a longer shelf life for the market, that sort of thing. So we want to be clean of all of that. So when you're looking at foods, this becomes super, super important. Personal care was last week, thinking about hair care, body lotions, makeup. I can remember someone that I knew who was a nurse who was in search of a clean, basically a clean makeup, clean liquid foundation, because her child who had autism was getting a high amount of a chemical being tested. They found it in the child's urine. And as it turned out, it was a product that was coming through her liquid foundation as she was loving on her son, hugging him, whatever. Again, his skin is going to absorb things much more readily than an adult's would. And so that liquid foundation that was toxic was absorbing into the child. And then that was showing up, in the child's urine. So things like that you would never think about. And then on top of that, so we've got personal care products, we've got food products as well. And then there's this whole category of the environment. Okay, so let's talk about our environment and the chemicals that we have there. When you look at cleaning products, and laundry detergents, a lot of those sorts of things, again, that this is an area that definitely is loaded with some chemicals that are harsh, not only for the environment, not only for the waterways, but also for us as humans. Those are things that are going to be absorbed. So always be thinking about your skin as the largest organ of your body. Your skin is there to help detoxify. Things that are in your body actually go out through your skin. Think about, things like alcohol, and a person sweating that out through their pores. But also, that things that are on the skin that you put on can also get into the body as well. And so in an attempt to live the healthiest, cleanest, life that we can. Nobody's perfect. Okay. We're all going to have some areas, but to control what we can control is always a great idea. So what can we control? Typically stuff that's in our own environment, so learn how to clean in a different way, learn how to garden in a different way. So organic gardening, using products that are safe and that are, have been around forever, that work and that do a really good job from a cleaning standpoint as well. Those are some of the things that we can do when we're talking about environment. Not only cleaning products, but think about dry cleaning chemicals as well. And there are plenty of options out there that are cleaner. But when you look at dry cleaning chemicals, those again are going to be on that clothing. You wear that clothing, it's absorbing in, you're having some exposure there. Also things like cookware. The cookware that you're using, if you're cooking with a lot of non-stick type products, again, that's going to be a chemical. You've seen, if you've ever used a non-stick pan for a while, you'll see that over time, there are little marks that show up. Why does that happen? It's because that stuff is wearing off. Well, where's it going? Where'd it go to? It went into your food. It went, into your body. And again, there's this residue. Even things like supplements, when we think about the supplements that we use, that's the reason that I love, the affiliation with FullScript. FullScript, our FullScript site, is great because there are clean supplements there that are available, that make a difference. I had somebody today in the office, in fact, who works as an engineer and said, hey, I'm having a little bit of trouble with focus, with concentration. And so I went through, some of the supplements that this person was taking. And, are you taking an omega-3? We all know that omega-3s are fantastic for the brain. And he said, yes. And I said, what brand? And he said, I just picked up something at Walmart. Okay. So that's not good. It's not good because that particular product would not be clean, most likely. It probably has a high level of mercury in it. We don't want our brains being exposed to mercury. So using a product that's clean, a supplement that's clean, makes a huge difference. And so again, that's part of the reason to affiliate with FullScript. One of my favorites there is Orthomolecular's Orthomega. Orthomolecular makes a product called Orthomega. It is a really clean, cold pressed omega-3 supplement. If you bite into the capsule, it tastes like lemon. It's super fresh. You will not belch fish or anything like that. So that's one of my favorites. It's something that I take every day. Because again, it helps with brain health, it helps with concentration, and so forth. We talked about some other things as well, but it's quite possible. My point here is that sometimes when the brain is not working as well as it normally would, or as well as it used to, it's not just a product of aging. Okay. Oftentimes it's more a product of bad diet, not getting the nutrients that you need, having exposures to chemicals that are interfering, or sometimes just way too much stress, can be overwhelming too. But I actually believe that if we are in a good position nutritionally, meeting all those nutritional requirements, and that we are, as much as we can, eliminating the exposures to some of these chemicals and that sort of thing, I believe that we can function at a much higher level, and that we definitely can handle stress at a much, much better level. I read a study at one point that was on post-traumatic stress disorder. And one of the things that they found in that study was that if a person was nutritionally sound, they were eating a really clean, healthy, nutrient-dense diet like what we discuss on here, that they would be less likely to have post-traumatic stress disorder from an event than if they were, let's say, consuming that standard American diet that was loaded with all these processed foods. So that's the difference that it can make. We want to be healthy. We want to be strong. We want to be able to think clearly. We want to be able to function at our highest level possible. And that's the reason that I do this podcast. So thanks so much for joining me, you guys. I hope you'll plug in next week. Next week, we are going to be talking about just the holidays and how to avoid that 10 to 15 pound weight gain that so many people experience over the holidays. And I'm just going to give you some tips that will hopefully make a difference for you as you go through this next season. So thanks so much for joining me today. Have a great day. I hope you enjoyed that episode. For more information, visit me at deannaholdren.com. Find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Dr. Deanna Holdren. I really want to hear from you, so message me. I love taking your messages and creating topics from them. Please rate, review, subscribe, and share my show with those who have an interest in health and wellness. Thank you for tuning in, and see you next week.